Guys, I thought I'd take some time in this video to talk with you all about some of the upcoming changes to Metasys. Recently, I had got the opportunity to spend some time with some folks from corporate, one of their marketing managers for Metasys, as well as one of their field support center managers. And they were actually on site with us when we did the upgrade to 15. And if you stick around later in the video, I'm actually going to just show you around some in 15. Nothing too major, nothing too in depth yet, but we're going to get there. And basically, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that they were telling me, some of the insight that I got, and I just thought I'd pass it along to you guys. But before we get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would like the video, share the video in your social media, as well as any of my other videos out there that you found helpful. Share those on your social media, because trust me, it does help the channel grow. Check out the affiliate links down below. You can just go down to the links, anything on Amazon, just hit one of those links, go buy whatever you're going to buy, and it helps the channel out. And also check out Blackout Coffee. Currently drinking some blueberry crumble. First time I've tried this flavor, and it's good. But, Blackout Coffee, link below as well. It's great coffee, especially on them late nights doing programming if you're setting up trying to fix stuff. For me, it's a Saturday night, and it's been rainy and wet. But anyways, I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the insight that they gave to me. And there's big changes coming for future revisions of Metasys. And I think that some of the stuff is going to be pretty exciting. Somebody just shot me a text. Imagine that. And basically, what I wanted to talk about, one of the things, one of the big changes is basically the merging between SCT and CCT. Instead of having two different platforms basically for dealing with the engines and then with your controllers, you're going to have a single platform where you're doing both the engine level work, as well as controller level work. And that's one of the things that they're looking at moving towards. For folks out there that are familiar with Tritium, I guess you could say maybe it's going to be something like that. I don't really know. I'm sure there's going to be differences. I believe that there are going to be some differences as far as the structure. I'm not sure. I've heard that it's going to basically be like a web-based thing, but I don't really know for sure. They didn't give me all of the details, but did tell me a few. So I thought that was pretty interesting because, having to jump back and forth. It's also going to help with, there again, trying to, have it in the software on one machine, how it's going to help in the licensing, who knows, which we'll get to some stuff on the licensing portal too for those of you guys that are interested. And that's probably one of the first things. There's also going to be some hardware changes. You're going to see a change eventually in the next generation devices where the network engine and controllers they're going to be like plug and play. Instead of having separate devices, you'll be able to take a network engine and plug a controller or I/O into that network engine. Yes, again, some of you folks that are familiar with Tritium, I know you guys are probably going to say something about that all the time too. But, that's the direction that we're heading in a lot of the building automation world. And with the expected changes, I'm not surprised about it. Can't say that I'm surprised about it at all. And I think it's a good move. Getting rid of some of the multiple levels of program, different softwares and things like that, getting it down to a single platform, as well as getting a little more functionality with what they're going to be doing. And I look forward to it. I think that it's something that is going to be good. The other thing they're doing is some changes as well to where basically for you guys out there, single site locations where you get like a single engine or something like that, you're going to have some more functionality as far as having MUI graphics and everything on that engine. I'm not sure exactly when all this is going to come about. They kind of alluded to some of the different versions, but it's not going to be long. Just from the way that they were telling me, the way they were talking about it, I do think that it's going to be something that we're going to see probably within the next few years, and looks to be very interesting. That blueberry crumble, man, I'm telling you, go down, use my link below, go get you some. So We all know that building automation is a convergence with multiple technologies, different manufacturers and things like that. And it's going to continue to be that way. I really think that what you're going to see there, it's forcing more cooperation between manufacturers. I know there's still a lot of resistance out there. Train, for example, just to throw you guys out there. Some of you guys familiar with Train. And if you've worked with trying to pull Train controllers into a system, you guys know what I'm talking about. If it's a different system, I know we had a chiller that we did an upgrade on that was, it's a Train chiller, of course. And the machine or the board that they put in was a backnet board. It would not talk. And I mean, it just, no matter what anybody did, Train techs were out there, they could not get that thing to talk for nothing. And what ended up happening is they ended up replacing the controller, the main controller for that chiller. And once they did that, the newer generation Train controller popped right in, no problem with it whatsoever. It was not a configuration issue as far as what they were saying in that original board, but there's just something about the way that it communicated. It just did not like talking. So that's just one example that we've had recently, and I just wanted to throw out there to you guys as an example that there is a convergence coming. It's a necessity as far as how it's headed. Also with Metasys, where we're starting to see some additional convergence as well, is in the fact that you can populate a JACE or another device directly to the server. I think it's going to expand. I think that's a good thing for Johnson. I think it's a smart move that they made by doing that because it's going to open up a big different market for them. Curious about how certain things will still function. I don't see really much problem with it. And the experience that I've had with pulling JACEs into Metasys, it's helpful if you understand Tritium, particularly if you're trying to get control of something to where you can manipulate things within Metasys. I've talked about that in other videos. And, you got to do your configurations and stuff right. But the way that they're headed, the way that they're doing this, I think that it is opening up. Basically anymore you're going to have like a big umbrella. You have your front end of whatever you want, whatever flavor you want, and then all of your other devices from various manufacturers are underneath that. BACnet is the spine. That's all there is to it. I mean, BACnet is the absolute spine of building automation regardless of manufacturer. The only question is whether or not the different manufacturers are all going to want to play nice. Some of them do not want to. I mean, that's just an unfortunate reality. Some of them want to jump through extra hoops. I have seen people where they do literally install a JACE and on for BACnet devices. And then this is just one of the shady things that some, I guess you could say, building controls contractors try to do. They'll want to try to get you to license a way of being able to pull in your points and things like that into a third-party vendor. This is, again, a little bit of shadiness that some of them do. For example, if you wanted to pull in a JACE and pull the points into Metasys, they're going to want you to pay them for them to set that up to where you can do that. When in reality, it's something they should do anyways. I mean, yes, it can be a little bit of a labor thing, but you need to be cautious about how you do business with these folks, because some of these control companies, as we all know, regardless of what platform they use, they can be a little bit shady. They can do things that are not right, as we all know, and basically just to try to rip people off. Some of the other things that I've seen, and I'm just rambling, guys. I just wanted to come on here and just make a video talking a little bit about some of the things in Metasys and just some of the other stuff that I've seen. But I've seen things. I've literally seen guys from different companies where they would have you'd have a JACE, everything's locked out. Can't do nothing, can't make any changes, and it would be something as simple as a set point change that would need to be made. And literally a tech would walk out, service call, you get a service call out there, and you know how much the service calls can be. And literally plug in a map gateway and from their cell phone make the change and never touch the JACE and just go on. And then you get hit with the bill or whatever. So you got to be on the lookout for things like that. And still, regardless of platform, I am still a big proponent that if institutions, if organizations want to save themselves a lot of money, they would be wise to invest in their own building automation people. Have people on staff that have a good understanding of the nuts and bolts of these systems, and they will pay for themselves in the amount of money that they will save you. I cannot stress that enough. And, anyways, guys, that's just some of the stuff I was thinking about, some of the stuff that I just wanted to come on here and talk about. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to jump over and show you guys a little bit of Metasys 15. So here we have on screen, and just to show you, I'm going to pull up the help section and I'm going to go to about. And you can see right here, Metasys 15.0. Now, there is a lot in here. I guess you could say there's differences, there's changes, and a lot of it I think is for the better. When you first get this installed, the first thing that you are going to notice about it is the speed. This moves much faster, particularly if you're looking at using a mobile, which, you know, that's one thing that I do pretty regularly is I'm always using it on my mobile when I'm on call. I don't carry my laptop with me everywhere. And I'm just clicking around in here just to kind of show you. Now, one thing you're going to notice on screen that you can't tell, there's a little bit of lag. And the reason there's a little bit of lag from what you're seeing currently and from what I'm actually doing, part of that is because of network delay. You know, I've got our system, I pulled into our system, but basically with everything running, the screen record and everything, there is a little bit of delay. I'm remoted into our server over an extremely secure network. I'm talking Fort Knox level security. So there is a little bit of a delay from what you're seeing here, just for obvious reasons. But again, it is insanely faster compared to the previous versions. And I'm telling you, it is very, very much appreciated as far as what they've done. This is the energy dashboard. This has been sort of a project of mine. I guess you could say, or project for us, for our institution, because of some of the usefulness that's in it, because of the way that you can do the metering, the way that it tracks it, and some of the reporting data that you can pull out of it. You can see here we've got some, basically we've got some data here. This is pulling everything from the entire campus. I'm going to filter it down to last month, just where we can get a little bit of additional info from like an entire month run or whatever, just to show you. I mean, there's a lot that they have changed. There's some of the things in it that I'm not sure about yet. I look forward to playing around with it. I've got to do some reading up on some of the new features. And you're seeing the wheels spinning. Yes, we're getting a bit of a delay and stuff like that on some of the stuff that it's doing. But at the same time, again, there are network traffic issues right now. If that's filtered down to last month, and I can go down and filter it per building. For those of you guys that have used the energy dashboard, you've probably seen this before. There are additional changes that are coming that are going to make this faster. I will say that even the energy dashboard is a little faster compared to previous versions. I wanted to bring this up and show it to you guys, even with the delays that you're seeing, because this is, I guess you could say, that one area where there are improvements coming. But this is the slowest area, I guess you could say. This is one of those areas that it still needs work, but they are working on it. That is something they did tell me, and I just wanted to pass that along. And you can see here, we can see our demand. I filtered it down for one of our buildings. You can kind of see it there. I can go back in here and change it again. And I'm doing this deliberately. I'm deliberately showing you how that this is, as far as when you're trying to filter through on things like that to pull data out of this. And I'm deliberately showing you the slowest thing that I can find. Okay. I wanted that, again, just being upfront. and all that. And the software changes, he told me some of the specifics that they were doing that eventually is going to play into this. It's going to speed it up more, but I don't remember all of the details. There again, you get, some of the folks in there, some of the tech guys talking. I mean, trust me, they get above my head on some of the chats that goes on. And again, I'm just showing you a few things, a few oddball things that are here. And let's try to find another one of our buildings. And I'm just going to pull some data from it. And if you guys think that I should get into a little more metering, that's something that's a possibility, talking about at some point, let me know. But you can kind of see here as far as some of the data. And you can go in here, literally from this button here, I can create reports, either PDF or CSV. I can go in your top consumption. It's not going to do it for this because, again, there's still a few things in here that they're working through. The energy overview. Now, if I filter this and reset it back to the everything, then it's going to show me, it can show me a few different data points. Okay, if I reset all of my filters, you can see here overviews and all that. But let me just jump out of here because, again, this is just one element. And it is very handy. It's very handy to have a lot of the tools that is inside the system. The graphics are much better. I mean, than as far as setup compared to some of the old GGT and stuff like that. I think that it works a lot smoother when you're trying to build graphics. And I don't know, I'm trying not to sound too much like a sales pitch, but I just know for the way that we operate, we have that, or that this is just a big advantage as far as the way that we operate. One of the ways is, for example, if we had a group of schedules here, I could literally go in here, pick a group of schedules, add an exception, and then for whatever day, and then come in here, get a different set of rooms, and add a different exception schedule if it's a common room that's going to be needed or whatever. And some of you guys, even if you're familiar with Tritium, you're going to be familiar with how these schedules look. I'm sure that you've seen this. I mean, it's very similar to what they look like somewhat in Tritium. And, you guys have seen it before as far as some of the things, some of the features. So, I mean, there's not a lot of big changes. I think one of the biggest changes that there is happens to be the speed, because I mean, I'm just clicking around. I'm clicking around in here, and you guys have seen how fast that some of the stuff has popped up. And another one of the conversations that came up when we were there talking, as we were working on trying to get this installed, is about some of the ways that you can build custom objects and graphics that can be used in multiple places. Because, for example, this Phoenix valve here, and by the way, what you're looking at here on this screen, okay, everything that you're looking at here on this screen, just so you guys know, this is a Tritium Jace. Okay, this is a Jace that is pulled into Metasys. We're pulling these components through it, or I should say everything in here except this air handler. That's going through an SNE. So, but everything else on this screen, that is a Tritium Jace, are right here, just on this one page. But as I was saying, one of the conversation points, they were giving me the opportunity to throw a couple of things out there, a couple of my thoughts on some things. So a few that I threw out, we'll just go through them. One of them was being able to build custom objects and then save them to the graphics library. For example, you see here this Phoenix valve that you're seeing in front of you. This is basically something that I did. I basically got some graphics that I was able to find online, and then modified the graphic and then imported it as a photo into our system. And anytime that I try to build a room, like what you see here, anytime I have to go and grab that photo and edit it in multiple times or whatever each time I do it. And then I basically took a valve from the library, tweaked it slightly, turned it slightly, shrunk it down in size, and then added that to the graphic just on top of the photo. just to make it look similar. I don't think it turned out too bad. You guys let me know what you think down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Again, this is a Phoenix room. You got a supply valve, an exhaust valve, and you also have a hood, a fume hood. And that way, for obvious reasons. But it works out well. That's one of the things that that I threw out to them. Let us build custom graphic objects and save them to a library. That would save us some time. And so that's one possibility. Maybe they'll do that. Another thing that I brought up that would be handy, and I'm just going to jump in here to this command screen. And this command screen here, there's a big white spot over here. Okay. If there was something in the priority array, yes, it would have it listed here. But, you've got this section down here. It says add annotations. You can go in there. If you were going to do an override, you can actually put some text in there and save it as an annotation to where, if somebody wants to dig into the system right now, they can view why you may have overridden something or changed a value on something. But there's no way to see it from this screen. If you were to basically override a system for some reason, if somebody was doing some work on it, and there again, a couple of days later, some different tech, if you wasn't there the next day, some different tech come along. Well, why is that override on there? Well, they don't know. That's where the annotations can be handy. And this is nothing new to Metasys, but one of the suggestions that I made to the guys, and I really hope that they listen, is basically adding the annotations, or at least the most recent ones, just in a box here, scrollable or anything, just to make it to where if somebody does issue a command on something, that basically you can put a note there telling somebody why something was changed or overridden or anything. I think that would be a very useful tool. That's just one of the thoughts that I had. I don't know how far up, if anybody in the upper levels of the Johnson sees this, but maybe they will. Just some of the suggestions, and I know that those are going up the line as far as some of the suggestions that we made, and I hope it does. I would really like to see those notes in there, just because how often is it that you're working on something, you're needing to know why somebody overrode something, why did they do that, and why not just have it to where you can just look. I mean, literally, just pull the command screen up. Why is that an override on that? Hey, this is why. Another thing that I talk with them about, you guys have seen this before, where I've got control drawings in with the system. I've got control drawings here to where we can see the specs, our control drawings, obviously, our sequences and stuff like that. It's handy to have that just right there at your fingertips, especially, when you're trying to configure things, trying to fix things. Basically I bootlegged the drawings into our system, and it's helpful, as you can imagine, because if you're out trying to work on something and you need to know where something is, you need something that's in some information that's on a drawing. What are you going to do? I mean, you're going to drive back, flip through a ton of folders or something like that, depending on where your drawings are stored at, where they're kept at. Or you're just going to push a button, just like what I did here. And it is so handy to have those. So what I would like to see them do is to add some kind of a file uploader there. I've got a video to where I talk about some of the steps that I've done that, how I've done it on our system, but it's impossible to do or to a full detail on everything, simply because it's going to be a little bit different on everybody's system. But this was handy. This is a very handy thing, and I think that if they go through and add some kind of an onboard file uploader, to where you could do this, to where you literally can add drawings and things like that, that would be very handy. Now, it's going to play into your server. Some of these drawing files, depending on how big your file is, it's going to get into server space. So that's something to consider as well. But it's handy. It's very handy to have. And, so it was just stuff like that. It was a good conversation, and it was a great chance to talk with some of these folks, especially one of the guys that has been very helpful to me. And, I can't say enough about, our local tech that was there, as far as from a local branch. these guys come along, they're from on up the line in Johnson. I mean, they're up at corporate level. Glad for them to come down. And, like I say, one of them in particularly, I've deliberately not worried him to death. I actually thought about doing a little bit of a video while I was there, and just to, just ask them questions and stuff like that, just recording it and then turning it into a full video. But then I thought, no, I don't want to risk. I don't know. Maybe somebody in corporate might not like it if they were on a video or something like that. So I didn't, and plus I don't want to burn any bridges with anything like that either, because of the fact that these guys, I'm telling you, they were very helpful. One of the guys, first time I'd met him, very friendly, and he was the guy that was able to really get some stuff done and done quick. And what I mean by that, when we were going to 15, there was an issue with the license portal. And I'm sure that if any of you guys have dealt with a license portal before, you know that there's times that there's issues with it. And there were some behind the scenes things that needed to be done that, unfortunately, it's usually a process to get these things done. But we were able, literally, we were sitting there in the room. He had his teams open and had the connections to the right people, if you know what I mean. And literally we'd run into a problem, and he would message somebody, okay, that's doing this, we need to take care of that. And I'm talking just a matter of minutes on the license portal. Boom, done, problem solved. And then we moved on. So that was one of the things that I was, yeah, okay, great, I'm real glad you're here helping us, because normally what we ran into, uh, couple of the issues that we ran into with the licensing portal in the past has actually stopped us from doing this upgrade. So some of the changes, having him right there with us, I mean, it was done, boom, boom, boom. And I know that he said that that's something that they're trying to push for, is literally trying to get a better understanding further up the line, because he talked about how that the people in the field, they deal with problems that the people at the corporate level do not understand yet. So they try to, as much, or what he was doing, for his own benefit, and how far up above him, I don't know, but trying to get a better understanding of some of the challenges like what we were seeing there out in the field. And so again, I'm real glad that he was there, that he come down, and it was a good time. And a lot of good stories. They got to see a part of the country that they haven't been familiar with, and so it was good for them, it was good for us. And we got 15 installed, and they got to see some suggestions. Hopefully I didn't bore them too much with everything that was done. And so it was a great time, and I'm glad they come down. But I really don't know where I'm going to go with all this. But another thing that has come up, and I'm sure some of you guys, before I forget about it, that have dealt with this. I know that there are some, or one of the things that come up too, some of the structural changes, like for the licensing portal. When you basically do an install, or for Metasys, for CCT and all that, the way that it groups, or the way that it was grouping everything in there, basically it's expecting you to put all of that software on a single machine. And then the scenario was, you had this site where they had Metasys and everything on their server, but CCT, they didn't want to put it on their server. They wanted to separate that CCT out and put it on a laptop. And one of the things that they were running into, because of how the licensing portal functioned, at least at the time I'm recording this, and when we run into it the other day doing the install, that they couldn't separate it. They paid for CCT, in the way that it was bundled together. It was going to be put onto the server instead of having it to where they could put it on a laptop on a different machine. So I think that's something that, again, that folks that are a little further up the line got to see, and I'm sure that they were appreciative of that. Maybe that's something that they, would be able to get addressed. So it's just one of those things. I mean, it's just a constant struggle back and forth. I mean, it's technology, building automation. You know what it is. I mean, it's continuously going to be changing, because it's technology. The one constant in technology is change. And, so it was good. It was good for them to come down. But I do hope to take a deeper dive into Metasys 15. there's things about it that have eventually, in future revisions, some of the stuff that's going to eventually happen, your equipment definitions and things like that, you're going to be able to do it live within Metasys. Right now, I don't think you can, even at 15. I know you can add spaces, but you cannot add equip and configure equipment definitions and equipment objects yet. But that is coming. Again, as this progresses, I'm sure that there's going to be bugs and things like that that they've got to work through, and uh, it's going to go from there. And so I look forward to it. I think that it's going to be interesting, and who knows? Who knows what'll be next? But anyways, guys, this is me rambling. I think I've probably rambled on long enough, and hopefully, if you stuck around this long, let me know down in the comments. Just because I know this is just a rambling video, just let me know. That's probably much more longer. That's a good term, isn't it? Than what it should be. But guys, anyways, hope you all have a good night. And thanks for watching. Again, check out Blackout Coffee, link below. Blueberry crumble right here, but they got a lot of other flavors. They got salted caramel. They got your regular coffees. And, the pitch black espresso, I've got some of that. It's good. I've got that several times. Morning Reaper, Brutal Awakening, stuff like that. I mean, tons of good coffee. But, use my link down below. Guys, thanks for watching. Check out the rest of the videos on my channel. Again, like and subscribe. Share the videos. And we will see you next time.